before. I'm excited to start at a VCS with you.
Yeah, it's exciting. Second cast, first time actually was with Milky, now with you, and I'm excited to see these comps going on the way. We have a decent amount of legends from player side, while Eugene is already losing his flash. That's not great.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're gonna lose it, you want to lose it as early as possible because you want it back by level 6. So there's that argument to be made. Although I don't think burning it is the ideal way to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you use flash early, you get it back sooner, but still, I'm not sure if that is a good sentiment. While Biop is maybe looking for Kati's flash in mid lane.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to find it, unfortunately. Even if they had the right circumstance, right? You only have the soldier to drop, so you get like a little bit of damage. That's, at least from the rune, maybe from Blazes. That's about all you get. You did get a nice homage to the Hail to the King bottom lane, as you get double Hail of Blades with the combination of the Kai'Sa and the Pike. And I want to pick your brain, I guess, there to start things off, is the Pike pick. I'm pretty sure, if I recall, this is something that BOB had played in solo queue before they really started, and I seem to remember it getting mentioned in passing when he played consistently. But since we haven't really seen him in a while, and so what is the value of the Pike pick specifically in this composition? And I guess maybe specifically in the matchup at the support, because that's where we got it, was just as a pure counter matchup specifically to Renata.
Yeah, I mean, I think Taki also played a split specifically into Renata, and if you want to play an engaged champion with a lot of CC, Pyke is probably your best option, just because the other options aren't great, and Renata can't really lock him down too well. He can withstand the poke with his Grey Health, of course, and then he usually can just put down a lot of pressure onto a lane like Jinx Renata, because if they find all in, if they find those hooks with the Kai'Sa, it's going to be really hard to survive that. So that's just a very aggressive lane, and then later on he can, of course, outroam.
Oh, bottom lane! Elio is just taking down to the Ignite. It's not going to kill him, though! Okay, we saved the support on both sides. Both of them take the Ignite. The level 2 engagement from Slater and BOB get nothing here. This is just a trade-off. But like you said, yeah, the Pyke attempting to get aggressive. Oh, he gets another pull into style. Kai'Sa can't follow up the traps. Perfectly used right there. Ooh.
And yeah, I mean, as usual, VCS is making the Kalakaza job very very hard to do. But then again, that's what excites about this league, of course. And here I think we can see the pressure that the Pyke is really putting down. I mean, usually you would say, okay, double range versus melee, you can get a push level 2. No, you can't. Not against Pyke, because he's gonna punish you even on level 1 with the Kai'Sa Q dealing so much damage as well. It's a really good window. And later on, together with the Kiana, especially around level 6, that's gonna be a duo that is roaming around the map just killing people. I mean, Kiana ulti into Pyke ulti, you're not gonna survive that for long, and I think that's something to really look out for and to really be scared of. And Levi is just spotting out a ward. So overall, I think GAM was actually favored in comms at least a bit by our analyst desk. I have to say, I'm not even sure if GAM outscales. Yes, in an open pitch battle teamfight when everybody is full health and everybody has a summoner spell, they probably win, but there's so many ways for little outplays on the other side. For GE, you have Kiana ulti that can absolutely pop off, Pyke ulti with the reset. So I see good chances for them to win any teamfight, even if this goes late, because Gangplank and Azir also are probably two of the best solo laners, specifically into Jinx, and they make Jinx's job so hard, because the soldiers and Gangplank ultimate plus barrels just make it near impossible to play the game.
It's really nice because it's a situation where we don't get to see this that often, but it's individual possibilities for the side of Genius Esports to really kind of show individual skill without it being something massively mechanical, right? It doesn't take all that much to properly place a Gangplank ultimate in a Zir soldier, and yet those are the things that are going to drive style out of a fight, prevent Kati from putting rockets into a fight, and it's going to do all these other things. And really, to me at least, the two members of the side of GAM that have that are potentially the Nocturne to turn off the right side of fight, and then also Elio, as we're getting an engagement into Elio on the bottom side of the map. He's going to get a lot of damage thrown into him. That's going to be first blood no matter what the circumstance. They're going to hand it off to Slater. Easy enough here on the bottom side as Yijin gets first gang. But really, it's BOB on the Pyke that makes things happen.
Yeah, and that's the punish on the missing flash for Elio. He was really disrespecting the pathing that he knew Kiana had done, because he knew that Kiana was pathing bot to top, and he should have known that on this timing, Kiana can easily just be bot and can be punished. The wave was pushing towards him. So those are those small mistakes that GAM is making that they really didn't used to make last season, what made them this 14-0 team. And now they're back, and here we can see Style and Elio. They have no reason. I mean, their wave is actually pushing out, so it was a good punish. Never mind. They had to play aggressive, but still, good punish here.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is part of this is not only like the bottom lane being in a pretty rough situation right now, but another part of this is that again Nocturne is going for this incredible farming style. We know Nocturne is like this old, or my apologies, Levi is this old school Nocturne player who loves to power farm, get there as fast as possible. We're all familiar with the famous game up against Fnatic where he got it by like 4 minutes into the game because his team played around it specifically, and he's beelining to level 6 as fast as possible to beat Yijin there as Coded. He's kind of been getting pushed off by Kiaya a number of times. He is up in CS, but had to burn the flash right there after TPing back to the lane, which is going to mean he's driven out a pretty significant portion, and especially since GAM got the cross-map play as well. Both sides of the map, a solid play right there from GAM.
Yeah, and specifically because Kiaya, I think, has a freeze up there, so he can just prolong that play. I think now he started to push it, but still, it is a play where Kota just loses a lot of CS on, and Kiaya should be able to recover and just stay even CS. Early Drake is being taken, and that's a result of the pathing. Yijin is pathing bot to top, so he was on the timing for the bot gank, but then was missing the timing for Levi, who's ulting bot.
Yep, level 6, that's going to be an immediate kill. I think onto Slater, who doesn't have the flash from the early levels. The trade damage is almost enough to actually accomplish something, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough, and the W from Renata would have saved the life anyway, as that's, again, Levi, he kind of poured away from the bottom lane a bit ago so that he could go from top to bottom as much as possible, getting those full clears, but it has led to a substantial CS advantage. It led to the Dragon, now led to a kill as well on the bottom lane. So ultimately, I think GAM's bottom lane are going to be happy about that. Giving one kill and getting one back just a couple seconds later as Yijin tries to recover a little bit off the top side. But this was Levi again. He hit the level 6 so early here.
Yeah, I was really surprised when Nocturne ulti came in, especially with taking the Drake as well. This is one of the earliest level 6s I've seen in jungle in a while, and that shows you how good Levi is. And punishing the bot play immediately by Blazes. What?
Yeah, I think it was an attempted play right there to try to, shove Kadi. If he shoves Kadi directly into Yijin, Yijin's level 6, he pushes him right back into the wall and things work. Style, not able to get the kill before BOB. Actually, a couple of kills. Cody gets that one off the back of the Gangplank ultimate. Now they're going into Elio as best as possible. The health isn't there from BOB because he hasn't broken vision quite yet. They're trying to get Slater the kill. And there it is. Okay, it is going to go into the gold is going to Slater, no matter what the circumstances. Coded and Slater kind of split those kills on the bottom side. This is where all of our action is coming from, Tim.
Yeah, and Kai'Sa Pyke already really working out, and I think that's a lane I would have told you. Yeah, I mean, until level 6, it should be possible for Style and Elio to really play that bot lane and just chill out. But now that level 6 has come in and they've already lost multiple kills, now we see how it happened, and it's a Style disrespecting and not flashing the hook. He had the flash up. He will have the flash up even in the end. He didn't flash the entire fight, and in the end, it's Coated who gets the kill. Because, of course, the last damage being taken by Style gives the kill. But, I mean, getting a kill on Gangplank early is also great for them.
Absolutely. I want to give a little bit of credence here to that bottom lane because I think they played around the Renata W extremely well because they anticipated that working out. But unfortunately, if it weren't for the Gangplank ultimate, maybe that last little tick of damage wouldn't have brought them over and would have pushed Slater back faster. They might not have ended even dying at all unless BOB decided to go back in because they weren't quite level 6 yet. No. One way or another, GAM made it happen as a couple of camps get taken. Here's BOB with Yijin in the bottom side jungle. Should be able to sneak out. He's just a Pyke, so he's able to get away. They're just stealing away a little bit of resource as much as possible from Levi, who's been power farming the most of that early game, again, to hit that level 6 as fast as possible.
Yeah, and that's a duo we really have to look out for now. Yijin and Biob on this Pyke and the Kiana, both extremely mobile champions. Try to lock them down. Good luck with that. So I think they can basically run around the map, just take camps and everything without really being stopped. And that's a great advantage for them. And that's something to keep in mind when we're seeing Levi. Because Levi, of course, on the Nocturne has his shield to kind of defend himself. But if he's really engaged with both of them, he will die. So it's now risky for him to even play his own jungle when he doesn't have vision on Yijin, who's moving towards top lane. I think he wants to cover the shove or the freeze.
Yeah, I think it's a covered freeze coming through here, which makes sense because Koded's got the wave on his side, and it's unlikely he is going to be able to shove it out. On the opposite side of the map, BOB's kind of been here for a while. The Rift Herald's going to get dropped as fast as possible to make sure that they can try to find some bit of aggression, some more gold into Style here. Nothing's going to prevent it. They're going to find Slater. Trapline drop behind him as well is going to prevent him from getting anything. That's a nice ultimate coming out from the Renata. It's going to be first blood. As BOB, also the nice red ward right there, actually from Levi, to catch him as he's trying to sneak out with the W so that the ultimate will tag him. As both members of Genius Esports end up falling victim to this bottom side play. A fair amount of that set up really effectively by Elio, the support sub in here from GAM, as it's going to lead to first tower.
Yeah, and also great play from Levi having the space here, because, again, the Kiana showed on top lane. He moved in top lane. That enables this play because they suddenly know where Kiana is, because this 3v3 dive would have been really risky. But since it's a 2v3, it's a free dive, and then Levi, you said it, with a pink ward, spots him out, kills him, and gets another kill for himself. And now the Nocturne is fed, the Jinx is back in the game, and suddenly it's really, really hard to get back, because those are probably the two champions who really didn't want to get ahead.
Yeah, it's a situation where it feels like there's benefits to both the Nocturne and the Kiana focusing on farming and getting ahead in a game like this, but it's been the impact that Levi's been able to have around some of that power farming that's really made a difference, right? Yes, they're going to even up dragons right here, but the first one did go to Levi. He was the one that was ahead in farm, and he's gotten off multiple successful ganks now and set up his bottom lane for a lot better success. Top lane is now going to feel his wrath as well, as Coda drops the ultimate in the middle of the wave. Kiaya in some dire straits. Coded is going to have to save the W. I think he still has it. Yeah, he's going to prevent it as BOB is here as well to try to get a shutdown onto Levi. He's got the ultimate. We'll see if that tracks and does anything for him. Blocked by Levi. Not going to matter, though, because Coded gets the kill anyway. I think that's where they wanted it in the first place as best as possible. As the attempted dive covered really well by BOB.
Yeah, and played really well by Coded as well. You said it during the play. He ulted the wave and then immediately barreled as well. Forced Kiaya to move out of the turret, and now in mid lane another play.
Yep, and a great ultimate coming out from the Kiana to put style into the wall. The W is going to save him, though. They can't really force damage in out of fear of the turn coming through. Well played by Elio. That's a package coming in from Kadi out of nowhere that gets, I think it was just the flash from BOB. Outside of that, I mean, that is at least something that you could say that the package was used for if they didn't have a timer for anything else. As the play in mid lane gets at least a little bit forward, almost finding style, burning both the summoner spells is pretty big. It was, Yijin kind of, I think, presses his ult key for the first time this game.
Yeah, and I have question marks above my head, because what was Kati packaging for? I mean, not the fact that he used the package mid lane, right? It's the fact that he picked up the package for what? Yeah. No objective is up. Just use it for the next Drake or something, man. It's just, why?
Yeah, it's a good question. The dragon did just get taken, so maybe his thought process was like, I've got more than enough time before the next real objective comes through. Maybe it's the next Rift Herald they're looking at as being like the true objective that they're going to try to push for it. And so maybe he's like, I don't really need it all that much. I'll just like throw it as fast as possible. And in fairness, if he gets behind the team, like Slater has to burn Flash, there's some potential aggression. Yijin might have to burn Flash. He doesn't have some playmaking, but ultimately it doesn't really get all that much. So we get to criticize him. He didn't accomplish all that much. It's fair for now. As that's kind of been the way of Kadi this split.
Yeah, but the problem with Kadi's package is he's not going to have it for next Drake because of the quirky changes, right? So if you use it after Drake, he's only going to have it for the 4th Drake coming into this game, and that just means that 3rd Drake is probably going to GE because their power spikes in the mid game, 1-2 items are just so strong. We see the Trinity Force on top lane for the Gangplank, of course, Ludens for the Azir and also the bot lane. Once Slater has his Gale Force, which I'm expecting to come in, he's gonna be an absolute monster. So I think the next Drake is basically given over with that, and Kati kinda decided that they didn't even want to go for a package outplay.
And this is the point in the game where it feels like GAM has lost a little bit of activity on the map, partially due to the fact that they're relying on Levi to do a good amount, because now you've got Jinx and you got Corki and you're kind of waiting for some scaling action. But now you've got Yijin alongside BOB. You pointed that out as being something really big. I think Blazes is huge inside of fights. Slater can also cover a lot of ground to join a fight from a pretty far distance. And so now if you start leaning more of your weight into one side of the map as the side of Genius, if they're not careful on the side of GAM, like they can be taken advantage of in pretty significant ways, especially because, again, you got BOB with the ultimate, you've got ways to execute members, supreme display of talent as well as options potentially to really make things happen, as this is going to be the Rift Herald fight coming in here. Another objective that this is not going to be up for, so again, the package nowhere near ready. BOB gets caught out, a little bit of chip damage here and there. He's going to be fine as he's got more than enough 40 health to come back. And they're going to have to walk away because, again, you don't really want to get into a scrap with a team with this kind of team fight this early in the game.
No, absolutely not. And specifically Coded also with 2 kills already with his Trinity Force. He's an absolute monster. It is the Gangplank, but still GAM. They will now want to walk into Azir and Gangplank. That's really risky.
It is. Oh, okay. Thought for a second there that it was possible that Style was going to snag that one, but no, Yijin does get the smite. Like you said, impossible to walk in with all that zoning tool that is held by the side of Genius, and especially because BOB's there as well. So if somebody gets a little bit too frisky, he just pulls them, they immediately execute him, and then GAM is down an entire member before the fight starts. They opt away from that, and instead, the gold now dead even, Dragons dead even. You have a minute for the next one, maybe, it's weird that GAM stayed around to contest because they could have potentially shifted into mid, shifted into bot, shifted vision into the bottom side of the map. But maybe they feel more confident, like they're comfortable. They've got at least enough control out of the bottom wave with the Aatrox. Then maybe, especially with the tower being capable of being pushed down on the bottom slate, then maybe they can go for Dragon anyway. But again, it feels like a little bit of wasted time here from GAM after that Rift Herald take.
Yeah, and for GE now, the next Drake should be the objective. We can see Slater was actually channeling Recall, has stopped that. I think he has his Gale Force, so should have his Gale Force on base by Kati.
Oh, okay. Engagement immediately into Kati and attempted. The ultimate from Slater was enough to get him close enough, but it's not going to end up finding anything. As again, Yijin also throws a little bit of damage, isn't able to really tag Elio with anything significant enough to matter. As that is, it is GAM who got the mid push. They had the bot push as well to work with, and now they're walking into bottom river. They're going to be going for the Dragon. They're going to snag this one up pretty freely, and I don't think that's much of a problem. Genius Esports are okay with this. They don't have a place for the Rift Herald at the moment, although I do see them kind of posturing towards top inner tower if that outer tower is broken by coded, but it looks like that might not be the case fast enough for the redeploy for GAM to come out in defense of this.
Yeah, but I wanna talk a bit about what Slater did. I mean, he kind of cancelled his recall, which was in time for the Drake, to not buy his item and then just jump on Kati and throw away the Drake. Because this should have been GE's Drake. They were stronger. They should have been stronger. They should have played for the fight. But in the end, they just tried to go for the pick onto Corki, which they can't really lock down. And in the end, they can't really fight the Drake now. Free Drake for GAM, and that means they have more scaling time. Because on paper, they should win late game team fights. At the 4 or 5 item power spikes, it is on GE to really find those outplays, to find that great Kiana ulti, to turn around the fight. So I think it also a small mistake for GE, because this should be the phase of the game where they're basically uncontested and can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Actually, a little bit of engagement, but there's 3 members there from GAM as BOB just gets absolutely erased. Looked like he wanted to hook Elio, but again, that handshake, such a useful tool for disengaging, is coded. Getting run up on by Kiao, but it didn't seem like there was a bunch of threat, as Yijin and Blaze is here to help cover for the mid tower, as Slater's able to just clean up the wave. And again, it's a situation in the game where it feels like Genius Esports have all of this potential for activity, but they just haven't been able to capitalize on it the way that we wanted them to here, in the last couple of minutes, and especially bleeding back a little bit. Again, they have a mild gold advantage, but giving an extra Dragon to GAM's composition, giving them more ways and win conditions to potentially take this game longer, it is a difficulty. And so I guess the question comes to you: who has to spark this? Because BOB has been very active, but hasn't accomplished anything the last couple of minutes. So who on Genius can step up to potentially accomplish this?
I mean, I think Yijin. I mean, Yijin has flash, BOB has flash. That has to be enough to get at least one pick. Then go for the mid lane turret with the Herald you still have, and then suddenly the entire map opens up for you. Now I think the Herald has been placed in bot lane, which, yes, you get some turrets, but I still think that's a wrong play, because with the team comp they have, especially against GAM's good wave clear, both on Jinx and Corki, they need to break mid lane tier 1, and outside of that Herald, it's not going to be easy. You have to really win a 5v5 team fight now to break that turret, and again, so far GAM hasn't really given any of those, so I think, again, small mistake from GE, not really playing for the right win conditions and playing for the style they need to, where they have to force more, where they have to force gold lead, and where they have to force map control.
They're in a situation where also, I think BOB is a lot more willing, maybe Yijin also, more willing to attack, even without the mid tower down. Now they can go, and try to punish somebody who's pushed up a little too far. They can move their vision up on side lanes a little bit, which I think is valuable. But I'm going to postulate this question to you, because again, if we're talking about wave clear and mid lane being this breakpoint of allowing the Pike and allowing this Kiana to really attack side lanes with, the necessary push, it would be better to have Blazes there, right? But Blazes is also just a better side laner, because otherwise Slater has the potential of getting caught, getting kind of dropped out of fight. So what's the risk potential here of having, Blazes in mid lane for better push so they can attack side lanes, versus having him in a side lane where he's less likely to be, to succumb to some kind of aggression that would come through from Levi ulting?
I think specifically Slater in mid lane is fine. You can just put him down. I mean, if he can approach the wave and if he's covered, he will one-shot waves. His upgraded Q, of course, dealing a massive amount of damage there as well. So the push they have, they can't really hit turret, but I don't think they can hit turret with Blazes either. So in the end, it's just shoving waves, and then AD carries are
Mm-hmm.
usually more safer in mid lane, as you said. Now,
Okay.
they might be looking into Kati. Do they know if he's there? I don't think they do.
Yeah, the experience of GAM is popping up pretty heavily here. There's a reason we anticipate them being one of the best teams consistently because, again, they don't make a bunch of boneheaded mistakes. And this is a game where that's really coming online, where like it would be easy enough for any other lesser team to fall victim to Yijin, to fall victim to BOB, to fall victim to somebody getting some kind of aggression. But it seems like GAM are constantly communicating, making sure that they have an understanding of where they need to not be on the map or where they need to hide from on the map to ensure that no aggression has really been able to capitalize. So yes, it's 1,000 gold lead right now. But again, it's not this massive advantage that Genius has. As we slowly trickle, further and further into the later stage of the game, next Dragon's going to get points of contention here. Blue buff's going to get dropped on Blazes. Coded is going to be able to push out top wave, and I do wonder how much is kind of indexed into this from both teams, because you do have like Baron that's available as well. You've got like this Azir to work with. You've got multiple carries on both teams to work with. But Dragon also is going to be such a massive breaking point here for GAM. You're actually getting TPs in from both teams to try to make sure this happens. Kadi also finally has the package for a neutral objective, so that's something that we need to talk about as well.
Yeah, it has to be an engage maybe from B up to force the package. He's trying it.
He gets dropped so heavily as that's the package coming through. Cody is going to get ticked down just a little bit. The Ignite is going to bring him down as the rest of the fight comes through. Cody has to go over top of the wall, but he's not going to go down. Slater's going to get brought down by Style as well, as it's the side of Genius who are getting absolutely run through by GAM. It looked like they were the ones that wanted the engagement to kick things off, but they are not able to get anywhere near enough on the back end of that. Only Blazes limps away, and it's not going to be the Dragon that they grab for. It's going to be the Baron that GAM is going to snag.
And again, they just overextend. They have to be the first one on the objective. If they get mid-push, move into Drake, it's so hard for GAM to move in. They really have to send Kati with a package, but in the end, they run into GAM, and GAM defends beautifully. Kati jumps in with a package, yes, dies, but the package just basically kills two people, both Yijin and Biob in the end died, and then Style has his resets and just runs over the fight. And we're looking back at it. And it's a right idea, right? Get Kati's package out, but Kati answers this basically perfectly. And you can see how much Style in the backend can also do now. Free hitting on Slater, free hitting on everybody, and just ending the fight immediately. And now Drake, though, is going to GE.
Okay, they are going to snag that one, so it's going to slow this down a little bit. We'll see what GAM is capable of doing when it comes to structural damage, because again, both mid-outer towers are still available. This feels like the push that GAM could go for to make sure that that one is going to get broken. I also want to point out, again, how much they put into making sure that Kadi was going to go down, because they burnt like the supreme display of talent. Yijin lost most of the health bar, BOB lost most of the health bar, and it led to nothing. And it feels like they are getting so little value out of these big potential cooldowns. We talked about this team having skill expression, very heavy skill expression, but it just hasn't worked. As a nice ultimate from Yijin is going to deny Levi and Kadi's access. But again, the defensive mid tower is something to pay attention to, because they're trying to shove them off to the best of their abilities right now. It seems to be working, at least for this wave, as BOB finds a nice hook. Ultimate from the Gangplank, not going to get much either. As the ultimate also from Renata burn. Everybody burning ultimates getting very little return on investment right there.
Yeah, but Style didn't even have flash. It was the right idea, but he wasn't really pressured at all, and now Slater's going in.
Ultimate. Actually, Slater goes into the back line. He goes in with the Kaiser. He's able to find one. It's just shut down on the opposite side. Blaze is going to pop the ultimate as best as possible. As Elio's on the side, just trying to drop some damage, and as he has no ultimate as well. It just ends up being the 1-for-1. Coded still high enough health that it should be easy enough to at least defend the inner tower here, as the outer tower is going to get aggressed against, because Kadi is around with the rockets to be able to do some work with. And again, it's Slater who he finally finds something, right? Because Genius has been stagnating for a little bit of time, but that's your ADC having to jump in with an ultimate just so that you can find one pick.
Yeah, I mean, GE looks... I mean, they basically look clueless to me. That's what it looks like. Biop is going for those hooks. There's no follow-up at all. Slater just jumps in and they're falling apart. They have a team comp that when they play well, when they have the maximum skill expression, they're gonna win the game. But right now, GAM is just playing so controlled, so hard to get on, and this is desperation, man. Like, this is your AD carry telling you, I want to get out fast.
At minimum, it does end up being the 1-for-1, and again, the cost, I suppose, is just that again, you're I don't even know. They're just able to shove up. There's no health really lost on the rest of the members of GAM, so it's just more than even a trade coming through from the side of this squad. As Yijin kind of caught in a really rough place, has to pop the Supreme Display of Talent just to walk away. As Kia is going to continue with the ultimate running at Yijin. Response is here from Coded. There's going to be an ultimate pop as well. That barrel chain will be enough to kind of shove off Style and Elios. It's just Kiaya left, but I don't think there's going to be much to actually talk about. Has to be hidden in vision right now is Yijin, who turned. They actually caught him in that cell. Oh, no, Yijin. Oh, I thought he was trying to play trickster right there. It does open a mid tower. Slater just gets to pull this freely, which is a nice response, I suppose, as that's a pretty big tower going down here from the side of Genius. But goodness gracious, GAM now attacking with ferocity, making sure anywhere they're leaning on the map is going to feel the full force of their team.
Yeah, and it looks so hard to get onto GAM, to do anything to GAM, and the big thing is that you shouldn't send Pyke first, right? That's not the...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why you don't send Pyke first. The entire point of the team comp is send Azir and Gangplank first. That sounds a bit weird, but they have max range, and they outrange basically anybody on the other side. A good Gangplank barrel or a good WQ from the Azir here can easily take somebody's half HP off, and then you suddenly are in a position where with Pyke Kiana, it's really easy to take that target out. And that should be the gameplay they are doing. And how you do that is you're first on the objective, you set up well, and you force the enemies to run into you. And that then suddenly... I mean, honestly, Style has been throwing out these ultimates as basically poke and annoying. Like, this guy just throws them for mental damage or what?
Yeah, well, he definitely does. Okay, all right. This is action that we could potentially get. That's a lot of damage from Kadi. He didn't even go for Ludens. He just went for Leandries, which is a fine build. It's just, I didn't expect that much burst damage from a single rocket. As Levi's looking for something with the ultimate, he is going to catch out Yijin. Nice supreme display of talent, actually able to get Yijin out of that very risky situation without even having to... did burn the flash, I think, to get over top of the wall, but still really impressive of him to get out of that situation unscathed. But goodness gracious, it feels so heavily like Genius missed their window entirely. They're completely out of aggressive moves to make. And I'm curious if anybody can step up. Now Yijin and BOB trying to get to the bottom side of the map, trying to find Kadi. But again, no supreme display of talent means this is going to be all the harder to try to attempt. Not even going to try it now.
Yeah, and Kadi really, really well itemized here as well. Just going for the J, knowing that this team has more than enough damage, and knowing that if he lives... it's great, and also knowing that GE is basically a one-punch team. They go in, they punch somebody down, then they win 4v5. But the big problem is, with the GA, Kati is coming back, so you can't punch at Kati, and he's doing so much damage right now. So, good itemization here coming in from GAM as well, just being able to play around the power spikes, and now, for the first time, GE is set up around this Drake and maybe has a chance to win.
Okay, that's package used immediately by Kadi, who's going to take some damage. That's Levi going into the backline as fast as possible, just trying to find Slater. As Coden's getting aggressed on by Kiaya, he's going to find him immediately as Slater is running backwards through the fight. Blazes go down as well. The only one left to actually do damage is Slater, who can't even find Kiaya with the W. Yijin stuck in the middle of the team. He's got nothing left as Elio's shoving out the other side of this, and it's just Slater left here for the side of Genius Esports, who's not going to be able to find anything. He's just cowering underneath the Azir, the disc right now, as that's going to be GAM picking up their third dragon of the game. They're one away from that Infernal Soul. But again, it just feels like Genius Esports have not had a single ounce of ability to find any aggressive plays. They haven't been able to capitalize on anything they would have been able to, and GAM is just waltzing this one in.
Yeah, and even with Coated being called out in the early stages of this fight, it still was probably the closest fight that GE still had at a 4K disadvantage with a team comp that should have a small, at least small advantage. So imagine they do this on the second, on the third Drake instead of the fifth one, where it's way too late and they started to get outscared. So I think right idea here, but way too late, and now GAM just retaliates with the Drake, with the Baron, and they should have the game. I don't see way back. GE's comp, it is a good comp if you have a gold lead, if you play the fights like you're supposed to, and right there they showed us, even with a gold disadvantage, there's still a chance for them to fight these games. But, I mean, look at Coated. Coated is just too far forward, gets hit by Kadi here, has to flash out, but gets immediately jumped on without Levi actually having to go for him, and that just means your Gangplank is not really dealing any damage. But, I mean, still, like, the damage on the frontline was pretty good, and if you kill that frontline, you have a chance to just turn on Style, make sure that he gets run down, while, by the way, Elio just went full support to combat and bullied B up out of the game. I mean, I think that was even a solo kill. Like, this guy literally just ran at the enemy support and ran him down. I mean, that's just respectable, honestly. Especially coming in as a substitute support. And I have to flame my analyst desk a bit, because I'm, of course, a huge BTS fan. That sounds always really wrong, but for me specifically in the winter split, Elio was one of the main people why they actually went on third. So I think picking him up and having him as a second option and now playing him as well is maybe a good move for GAM.
And it's also incredible because at the time when he was on BTS back before the team got relegated, I mean, you're talking about like he was a Leona player. That was pretty much it. Like we joked about how he had a Rel and he had a Leona, and if he was on anything else, it was always disastrous. But we're getting a chance to see some of those players in action without it, and they're actually looking really good. Glory's had great games. We see Elio with great games now playing on this Renata, who's been an absolute beast, and you can see the ramifications of it as GAM is just completely snowballing this game to absolute oblivion. If they don't end on this push again, they've got more than enough time to be able to utilize these downed inhibitors to grab Infernal Soul, and at that point there's almost no way this game can actually be brought back by the side of Genius. So I guess they've got maybe one lifeline left if they could try to find some big fight, but they're going to try to clamp things off now on the side of GAM as Levi's going to be able to find one. Style was able to find a kill against Blazes, and that's just going to be an ultimate used to cover everything else. Levi is going to go down in the grand scheme of things. Yijin finds one. Supreme Display of Talent is available for Yijin if he wants to try to find something, but he's not going to do any damage to Kiaya as Elio gets out the backside of the fight. It just doesn't matter. GAM is way too strong at this point in the game, and they're going to walk out with game number 1 against Genius Esports.
Yeah, and again, I mean, GAM played really well in the mid game. They played it so slow, so controlled, but at the other end, G did nothing. They had a mid game. They had their one item power specs they should have played on, and they just let the Drake go. They let the fight go. It's so sad because there's so much potential